here so we can see. Everybody, thank you so much for coming. I want to welcome Cedric Grant, the Executive Director of the Sewerage and Water Board, and our great Fire Superintendent, Tim McConnell. Our council members are with us today. Our Council President, Stacy Head, members of the Orleans Parish delegation, to our business leaders, and to the men and women that keep the city dry and keep the city safe. Thank all the firefighters and the employees of the Sewerage and Water Board, all of our frontline men and women. I thank all of you for coming. Today, we are here to ask the public to help keep the city safe, dry, and moving forward. We're here at pump station number 1. We have in New Orleans world-class flood protection. There are people from around the world that come and look at the way that we move water from where it is to where it needs to be so that our families stay dry. And in order to do that, we have to make sure that we can keep it funded, keep moving in the right direction. And this weekend, we are asking the people to renew a drainage millage. This is a renewal. It is not a tax increase. This drainage millage provides about 30% of the cost of keeping these pumps on. So if you want to keep the pumps on, we have to renew the millage. If the millage is not renewed, we're going to have a hard time keeping the pumps on. That's how basic and how important this particular renewal is. And so we commend that to the people of the city of New Orleans. As all of you know, we also have been working with the firefighters to engage in firefighter pension reform. We have come to an historic agreement. This is a dispute that a number of past mayors and cities have had with the firefighters pension fund for a long time because of the work of a lot of people around here. We have come up with what we think is a great solution, and the people of this city have demanded that we pay our firefighters what we owe them because they go into harm's way every day. And on the ballot is going to be a request for a 2.5 mil increase in property taxes that has a 12-year sunset that is going to raise the money that's necessary to pay the firefighters what we owe them because of the work that they have done. And so I'm asking the citizens of New Orleans to go out and to vote for both of these things so that we can have the resources necessary to do what the people of New Orleans have said they needed and what the people of New Orleans absolutely need. So I commend this to everybody. This is very, very important. We have worked a lot to keep this city safe and to keep this city dry. $14.6 billion in levee improvements. Because of the work that we have done, almost 97% of the people in this city will see a flood rate reduction. And one of the reasons that's so is because we have a world-class drainage system, and we have to renew this drainage millage to get that done. And then we have to make sure that future generations of leaders have the ability to do what's necessary by getting rid of liabilities that have been on the books for a long time, and to pay the firefighters what we owe them because of the sacrifice that they have made. So I commend it all to you. I thank you for that, and I hope the citizens will vote yes on Saturday. And now I'd like to call up Cedric Grant, who's the Executive Director, Scott Jacobs, who is our President, Pro Tem, and then we'll be followed by Tim McConnell, and then council members, if you'd like to speak, we'd love to have you do that as well. So with that, Cedric Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Sewerage and Water Board has the vital mission of providing safe drinking water, treating wastewater, and assisting in fire protection and protecting our homes and businesses from flooding. This is a 24/7 operation that requires significant resources and manpower to deliver the services our residents need. New Orleans is the third rainiest city in the nation, receiving an average of 5 feet of rain over a year, and we exceeded that total in September. So because our city is at sea level and supported by levees and flood walls, we must rely on the city's robust drainage and pumping system to prevent flooding that could put lives and property at risk. To protect us, we have built the second largest drainage system on the planet, and it operates 24/7 around the clock and is manned by these experienced operators and trained maintenance personnel. On Saturday, the residents have the opportunity to invest in the drainage system by supporting this drainage millage renewal. This 4.46 millage renewal provides 30% of revenues the mayor has indicated to operate and maintain the drainage system. There's no new cost associated with the drainage millage, it's just a renewal. We have made significant investments in all of the flood protection in this city. That includes $14 billion for stronger levees, $1 billion of major drainage improvements through sealer, and $615 million in permanent pumps that are the most powerful on the planet. As a result of all these improvements, FEMA just issued new flood insurance maps that allowed 97% of the residents to see a reduction in their flood insurance rates. The key to that was the baseline that this drainage system is up and operating. But to keep the progress going, we must support this drainage pumping system being the backbone of the city and being operational. This renewal has been endorsed by BGR, the Business Council, the New Orleans Chamber of Commerce, the New Orleans Regional Black Chamber. Most of these representatives are standing behind me. GNO Inc., the Louisiana Restaurant Association, the Home Builders Association, Greater New Orleans, the Times-Picayune, Gambit, Bowl, and Treme Tips. So on Saturday, we ask you to please join us in supporting New Orleans' future by voting yes on this drainage measure. I'll be followed by Mr. Jacobs, our President Pro Tem.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. I am Scott Jacobs, the President Pro Tem of the Sewerage and Water Board. And as the President, I have the distinguished honor of serving with 9 other New Orleans residents with professional experience in environmental quality, finance, accounting, business administration, engineering, public health, urban planning, science, community, and consumer advocacy. We take this responsibility seriously, and several of the members have joined us here today. Thank you. Together with Mayor Landrieu and Executive Director Grant's leadership, we have charted a new course for the board that is modernizing and professionalizing this utility so that it's more efficient and cost-effective. We have made tremendous progress. The Sewerage and Water Board's water and sewer capital budgets are properly funded for the first time in 25 years. We've launched a new customer billing system that just went online last month, and we're working toward electronic meter reading and a new work order system. Since Katrina, there has been significant improvements to our drainage and flood protection that have resulted in significantly reduced flood insurance rates. 97% of New Orleans residents have benefited. The drainage millage renewal on Saturday's ballot represents 1/3 of the funds Sewerage and Water Board needs to maintain the system we have. That means keeping pumps and canals operating at full capacity and trained personnel ready to answer the call when it starts raining. Because it's a renewal, there are no new costs associated with it, and there are no change in property taxes. Having spent the last 25 years in the insurance and risk management industry, I can't express enough how important it is that we maintain our city's robust drainage system. On Saturday, when you head to the polls, please support this renewal. Thank you. Now, Chief.
Thank you, Scott. Behind me, you see some of the men and women who protect this city in a first responder capacity for fires and on medical responses. I want to thank them for the great job that they do every day. The firefighter millage is 2.5 mills dedicated to fire and is expected to generate $8.9 million. In October of 2015, if you remember, the city reached a historic agreement with the firefighters union that settled a decades-old firefighters longevity pay lawsuit and a pension lawsuit. The agreement resolves significant liabilities, keeping the city and the pension fund on a positive fiscal track, making major reforms to the pension and ensuring that it will be there for past and the current firefighters that you see behind me and for future generations of firefighters. The $75 million payment required an upfront payment of the $75 million settlement required an upfront payment of $15 million, which was made earlier this year, and the outstanding back pay balance will be paid over the next 12 years. The city's potential liability of $200 million is satisfied under the terms of this settlement, and its ability to deliver essential services to citizens such as fire service, police, EMS, parks, street repairs, recreation will not be threatened because of this settlement. Under the terms of the settlement, the city will be allowed to satisfy a $21 million judgment that it owes the pension fund by making its annual contribution, funding contribution. So this is critical to keeping the services up and running that we have, and I appreciate any support.
All right, Councilwoman Head, would you please?
Anyone who's followed my political career realizes that I am very fiscally responsible, and I'm not a big fan of increases or taxes. However, I am asking you today to take the right step to vote yes on Saturday. We have absolutely no other option but to renew this millage for the Sewage and Water Board, which is not a tax increase. It is, again, a renewal of the millage to make our city safe, to be able to reap the benefits of the lower insurance premiums that we're getting, and to also solidify the future for our children. This really is for our kids. As to the firefighter pension millage, this is also a necessary step to make New Orleans healthy. We do not want to saddle our children and future generations with a debt that we have sharked for so very long. For decades, different administrations have grappled with how to deal with some difficulties with the firefighter pension system, and this administration and this council and this group of firefighters have gotten together with help from the business community, with mediators, and with experts around the country to come up with a rational plan to stabilize the firefighters' pension system, but also to pay these firefighters what they are legally due according to courts of law. So please, let's take the responsible step. Pay what is due to these firefighters. Again, this has been determined by a court of law. Let's pay what's due to these firefighters, and let's renew the millage to keep our city safe for future generations.
The numbers are simple. Most of you got a check back the other day, a refund on your flood insurance if you had flood insurance. Most of you got a bill saying your flood insurance next year will be only about a third of what it was in past years. That's because those pumps are working. You turn those pumps off, the numbers change. We need to pass the millage for the flood insurance. For the firemen, many people say, well, that's an old debt. Yes, it's our old debt. And the fact that we didn't pay it 10 years ago doesn't mean we don't have a right not to pay it today. We need to pay the debt that we owe to the firemen, and we need to protect the future of this city for our children and our grandchildren. Please vote for both of these millages. Thank you.
And I just emphasize what everybody's saying. Remember, this is not an extra tax. It's a renew millage. We have to pay the firemen. We have to do sewage and water board. My taxes went down. My flood insurance went down. I'm pretty sure yours did too. We need this millage. We need everybody to go out and vote. Make sure you go vote for these two referendums. Thank you so much.
And just to wrap up, everybody standing behind me was an essential part of getting us to this point today. Councilmember Head has led the effort on pension reform. Councilmember Gray and Representative McNarrison on both the council and the legislative side assisted us. To all of the business leaders here, to all the individuals on the board, to our firefighters, and to all of our frontline employees for the Sewerage and Water Board, thank you all so very much. Critically important. Councilmember Gray said it, we got a 97% reduction in our flood insurance rates. The reason that happened is because the pumping system works. And if we keep it working, we'll continue to be safe and we'll continue to be dry. The same thing is true about the firefighters. So we encourage everybody to go out and help us out and say yes this weekend. All right, well, thank you all so much, and I'll take any questions.
Can you give us a dollar amount about what the new fire tax would look like for the average homeowner?
If you have a house that's $350,000, it's going to cost about $87 a year. If the house is less than that, your tax is less. If the house is more, it's going to be a little bit more.
What's the recourse if the drainage renewal doesn't go through? How
we're going to get wet.
Come on.
That's the recourse. We're going to get. I want to be really clear about this. If we do not have the money, the pumps won't work, and when it rains, everybody's going to get wet. We'll be wet for a long time, and our flood insurance rates will go up.
So if it isn't approved, what would the city do at that point?
The city's going to get wet.
How will we find the money?
Well, I don't know. We'll come back and ask again, I suppose. But a lot of the service won't be provided. So again, this is one of those basic, fundamental, necessary renewals, which essentially has to get done. But we can't do it, of course, without the authority of the people. So I'm out here letting everybody know again, this is a renewal. It's not an increase. It's something we've been collecting for a long time. It provides 30% of the revenue that runs the operation of the drainage system, and if these pumps do not work, everybody knows what happens. So I'm ringing the bell for everybody and letting everybody know we need a yes on that particular thing. On the firefighters, as has been said earlier, this is a 30-year debt. This discussion's been going on for a long time. We didn't kick the can down the road. We engaged in some very aggressive negotiations, and with the help of the council and the legislature and the firefighters union and the firefighters themselves, agreed to major pension reforms. But that meant we also had to pay the debt, and now we've got to pay. In order to do that, we have to have the resources. Now, the polling on this is extraordinary. People in this city say we should pay the firefighters what we owe them. Well, that's now what we're doing. And it costs a little bit of money. And so we have to pay that. And we is us, all of us. It's not somebody behind the tree, it's all of us. And so we're encouraging, we've kept this as low as it possibly can be. We have a sunset of 12 years on it. And when that's done, we'll be in a position of going forward and being able to invest the money you know, in public safety in the city that people say we so desperately need.
One more question?
Anybody else? All right, thank you.
Thanks.